Return of the Dream Canteen is the new album by the Red Hot Chili Peppers, and boys, it has leaked. It has leaked online. Once terrible management, always terrible management. This is also what happened for Unlimited Love. I was going on my little walk when it leaked and I just found out. It leaked a couple hours ago. So without further ado, let's get started. I want to apologize to Flea, because I know he was kind of hurt when Stadium Marketing was out. And honestly, there's nothing they can do. You guys are too successful, you're too big of a band. And honestly, you know, you've done nothing but, I guess, change my life for the better with your music. Yeah, let's get parasocial today. So, like, it's not a super cool way for me to give back, but I am broke and I do need these few $100 that I might get from this. I'm extremely excited, not really about the money, a bit about the money, but about the music. Because I think on Unlimited Love there's some gems, and I think if they were put in more cohesive manner they could really make a great album with this. We'll see as we go. Let's go into Tippa My Tongue. If you want to subscribe, that would make my day, but this already does, man. I actually love this song so much. We've already covered it on the channel. The thing about it is it grew on me a lot, you know. First time I heard it, I heard AK kind of singing the ga 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 stuff. And I was like, ooh, that's kind of goofy, that's kind of wacky, but it is just the Red Hot Chili Peppers. Even on Blood Sugar Sex Magik, one of the great things about them is they just kind of completely own the fact that they're a bit weird. And it just works. Like, it's just really compelling because they believe in it. I do think they believe in it. I don't think they sold out to do some bubblegum stuff when they're 60 and stuff. I think they're pouring their heart and soul into these songs, and it just shows, you know. Hate it or love it, it's like these dudes are doing their thing, man. This song is awesome. I mean, it's just, I love getting paid to do this. This is the best job in the world, man. Just hearing John Frusciante solo at the beginning of the song like that. Oh, the funny thing about this song too is it mentions acid. And when we made the video with my friend talking about the song, I joked around that we took acid and that the foam in the studio was moving and stuff. I may or may not, since I've taken acid. Hi, Mom. Alright, let's get into the new stuff right now. Man, I love these guys. You know, I never watched anime, I never was into like a lot of movies as a kid or pop culture stuff. I was kind of in my head, writing my own imaginary stories, but these guys, when I found them through my friend Gabby when I was 15, and I had heard a couple of their songs before, but I really had this huge connection with them, and I started listening to like Scar Tissue and the Slain stuff, and they are my anime, you know. They are the thing that I didn't have when I was like 10 years old. They are the reference and the culture that drives me and got attached to my soul. Like, that is so awesome to know that they're like 60 and John is like 52, and they were in the studio a couple of years ago when Eddie Van Halen died and COVID was happening and all these terrible things, and they just kind of stuck together like that and made beautiful songs. And this one actually has some real innovation on it. It has some exploration, it has some risk taking. It's awesome. Did you hear this weird jazz-ish solo that John played? It's great, man. I love the little effects by John. I always talk about John, but he's so laid back, you know. This is all Chad and Flea, the beginning, and they're driving this car, man, and John is kind of just kind of chirping away in a slick manner on this strat here, and he adds those beautiful ways to paint over and with Anthony Kiedis as Anthony is telling this picture, is telling this story. Like, John accentuates it with intentional weird noises on the guitar to sound like dirty references or just a little jab of paint, yeah, to make the story roll, and it's so beautiful. This chorus reminds me of stuff with Josh, actually. It reminds me of The Getaway. It reminds me of the mellowness that album had, but this is very much stripped back, though. There's not a lot of stuff going on. Rick Rubin production, bare bones, not a lot. And this really struck me on the song Eddie, actually, how it's literally just live, the ending. Three guys, just the musicians of the band, and it's impressive that they can sound so beautiful with so little. I think the John vocals really contribute to it, because even if it's just, the guys, the fact that John is layering the vocals, sounds like a choir, sounds like more people. Absolutely, like, gut-wrenching stuff, this chorus, and the way they alternate the chords at the end to form into the outro, and it's kind of the chorus, but not really. Wow, wowzers, dude. And those triads, like, they don't miss with this formula they have of, like, John backing vocals and major and minor triads and just pentatonic stuff, and Flea's gonna, almost slap here but not really, and mid-tempo ballad stuff. I think they're aging pretty well. Like, they could be doing so much worse, dude. And but I still wish, we had the third album with Josh. I wish that was a thing, but I can't spit on this. I just cannot. Oh, what a journey. I really love the companionship that emanates from this song. It's kind of like Tippa My Tongue, but in Tippa My Tongue it's because they're talking about funky monks and how they're still at it and they're on the run and stuff, and that's beautiful. Again, knowing these guys are old, thinking back of the 80s and the 90s, and they're still doing it, it's just awesome. But here it's just the song itself. It's like a warm blanket. It's like this feeling of being understood and heard. Like, it makes me feel loved. The song is just it's a beautiful blanket of a song. It's kind of like make you feel better in that way. It's kind of like life, She's got peace and love for you somehow. Like, you can get dragged down to weird places and really suffer, but at the end of the day, somehow there's still music like this that can come through your ear holes, and it's like John's story and stuff. You can go to the bottom of stuff, and then somehow in your 50s you're touring the world with your best friend still, and making awesome music together. I really love it. I'll have you know, I have a bottle of water near my hard drive that is running right now, so that's how much I'm eager to just get into the reaction no matter what. This is interesting. John has a song called Reach Out on the album Maya, and he has a Pornhub sample on it. I really hear John's new stuff on this. If you've been paying attention, which you haven't because the Red Hot Chili Peppers fans, sorry guys, but you just don't pay attention. Everybody thinks John Frusciante dropped the guitar in like 2007. There's guitar all over his solo albums when he left. It was just like not guitar centered, and the guitar was kind of quiet, and he made like hundreds of songs that he just didn't put out, but he never quit playing guitar. And he's changed his style quite a bit, and it really comes out on stuff like this. He's like into like diminished kind of licks and tension filled things, and like it really comes out here. That's awesome. Also the tone, say what you want about John Frusciante, he has iconic moments. Stereo Mercadium, people like his tone. Californication, like in the stuff before that, the first time he joined the band and stuff, like, just personally he's one of my favorite guitar players tone wise, and he's always changing it, and his tone now is very freaking different from what it was before. But I love it. I actually love this tone, like this kind of really British sounding stuff with dirty with a lot of high end and stuff. It's really almost disturbing to hear this coming from John Frusciante's fingers, but it just works. It just serves the song so well. This kind of sounds like the song Nerve Flip, the bonus song from the previous album. They are still pushing boundaries here. They are still actually innovating with the rhythms they use. This sounds like the sort of stuff that makes me want to say, hey, the next album, I'm pumped for it. I think it's going to be good because this is a band that's finding themselves. They're still beginners here. You can hear it. It's a super cool idea. The rhythm, the pattern of the rhythm they use on the verse, but it's kind of like, it's not like quite there. Like it goes hard and it's so weird, almost syncopated thing where they kind of like Charlie, but more effed up, where one is over here and one's over here, and like John just does the little jabs again. He's really kind of mastered his ego, man, because on albums like By the Way, it was all John. John did everything. He did like 20 tracks and played half the bass and stuff like that and wrote all the songs. Now it's clearly not that. Like there's a equilibrium here. Sure, he's written a ton of the stuff. But in the performance, at least in what you hear, it doesn't come out. It's like, it's really chill. And yeah, the rhythm is odd, but it sounds like they could use stuff like that on the next album to be catchier, more beautiful, more on point. And I love this, you know, I love that they're pushing it, and the reason I'm not like 100% with it in the verses is because it just sounds unusual. But they can fuse that with their own style of like pop rock, I guess, and that's kind of what they do in the choruses with these awesome key changes there, lowering this stuff, and they're so heavy, even though the tempo is not, it's not a high tempo song, you know. It's gonna go hard live, by the way, with those background vocals sung by John. I think John and Flea could, someone better reach out. That could go hard, dude. You know, we listened to this song before. The best song on Unlimited Love is probably What You Thinking. At least it's the most catchy song, everybody knows that. And the awesome thing about What You Thinking is the solo at the end is freaking awesome. Even though it's thin. John's solos, they're thin now. Look, I have my theory about John, okay? I think he had like insane strength in his fingers when he was a kid because he played all the time and he grew up that way. He taught his body to be like that. And I think now he's kind of struggling. Like, I've seen him live and he shakes his hands and he has to stretch and stuff like that. And, you know, could be anything. Like, it just happens, alright? I mean, I have stuff like that, alright? I'm 21, so it's understandable. But I don't know if it's because of that or because of his choices, but he's changed up his style. He uses, like, feedbacks a lot more now. But he shreds, though, right? Like, you can hear him shred on this. So physically, he can obviously still absolutely play guitar. But it's just there's a thing of like using long drawn out notes as well, and that really works well when there's another guitar under it, in my opinion. I've seen it live, it's just perfect because there's, you know, thousands of people screaming and it's the ambience of the stuff. It just always works live, but on an album like that, I almost miss a backing guitar on this. And not even necessarily a guitar, because a guitar like Scar Tissue would be too much. If you listen to Scar Tissue, the ending parts are so beautiful and intricate. Everybody thinks about the solo, but the stuff behind the solo is awesome. I think that'd be too much, but maybe a synth, maybe just a pad, maybe some more effects, because the effects are great, but it's just like, it's so bare bones. It is so bare bones. So, somehow the epic ending of that song is like the most empty, not empty sounding, but like technically empty thing the Red Hot Chili Peppers have done as an outro in a long time. Because if you think about it, it's not often just live like that. Like, I don't know, the epic solos of the Red Hot Chili Peppers, what do we get? We get like She's Only 18, yeah, there's a backing guitar on that. We get like Turn It Again, right? It's kind of live, right? Except there's like 20 guitars. So it's very different. This is rare. Californication, backing guitar, that sounds like a piano. You know, can't stop. I guess there is nothing, but then the solo continues into the verse, and Anthony Kiedis joins the fray. So it's very rare to actually hear the Red Hot Chili Peppers live on an album. And it's weird that I don't like it that much, because I love the Red Hot Chili Peppers like actually live, like actually in concert. Maybe that's what I miss. Maybe this should be like a live song. Maybe they should do a live version where you hear people losing their shite. Out of tune, dude.
Listening to the great beyond, well, misdirection waves its magic wand.
Wow, this was actually leaked. I've actually heard this before.
Set 'em on up, knock 'em on down, and take me to your leader where the makeup is fake as fuck. Scrap it.
Bro, this is ridiculous. John Frusciante is breaking all of his own codes. He never uses chords like that, guys. He never does that shite. He actually never does that shit. That's crazy. That's just... oh, that's insane. Yeah, he's learned. He's learned a lot from being an acid house musician. He's learned a lot from being an electronica guy. He's breaking his own codes now. Frusciante does have a code. Like, if you listen to a 2003, 2004 solo by John Frusciante, he always does the same things. He always does the same notes. He always plays like the same licks, the same scales, the same intention, the same way. Like, he really does. And throughout all the Red Hot Chili Peppers' career, there's just there's Frusciantisms. There's just chord progressions that he loves, and he uses over and over again, just like kind of the beginning of this song, right? That's a kind of major up walk that he affectionates and does that a lot. But the chords here in the big distorted choruses, nothing like he's done before. Really strange, really weird. Like, if you think of it, it's kind of like Danny California on steroids, and if Beethoven wrote it. It's it's much more ballsy. It's much more grunge. There's some goofiness about what Ryan Hewitt is doing on those tracks. I've found, like, since Black Summer and the kind of echoey thing before the big explosion of the last choruses and outro, some of his delays and stuff, I'm just like, where is that coming from? That sounds like too modern. That sounds weird on a Red Hot Chili Peppers thing. But I think, I'm gonna agree to like it eventually. But it's just like, as a first time listener, really pokes the whatever. Inside joke. Emma. Okay, stop. Yeah, basically, it's just some of the effects are difficult as a first time listener. There's some really cool processing on the vocals, like a vocoder or something going on, and the brass, going back to the Red Hot Chili Peppers roots. I really wish they would have some brass live. They don't ever do it again. I haven't seen them done that since like the early 90s. And I think they should. I think it sounds awesome. I think that they're a funk band, and they should be a freaking funk band, you know? Sabbath. There's a clear Sabbath influence on this. It's like so heavy. John Frusciante thinks this is heavy metal, by the way. He's gonna call it heavy metal in an interview. Just wait. Just you wait. And he's kind of right, honestly. It's just like not the way I think about heavy metal. I think, when I think metal, I guess I think like new metal and stuff, so I'm weird. But yeah, there's definitely some Iommi stuff going on here, and I love that stuff, because Iommi is one of my all-time inspirations, because he plays so efficient, he plays so obvious, he plays so melodic, so beautiful, he plays right on, he's right on time, right on point, and he's not actually right on time, he's kind of sloppy sometimes, which is exactly what Frusciante likes. He likes it dirty and sloppy sometimes. I know it from a sure source. That's what he said about Stadium Arcadium, you know, not trying to play on the grid, just kind of going off of it. And this is clear inspiration, like 100%. Even in the way Chad is doing the sextuplets and stuff, that's, you know, oh my god, I can't remember his name, I'm sorry. That's Sabbath drummer, 100%. And I like Tony Iommi because he cut off his finger a little bit. And I had trouble with the same finger when I was kind of his age, a bit younger. It didn't get cut off or anything, it just had like ligament injury, and he really inspired me to keep pushing. So I love this stuff.
Belly lies and that's my type. I wish that I could hold. She'd rather live in LA. Belly cries and that's alright. She's been up and down. Weaving on my shoulder again. Well,
See, that's exactly what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about, bro. See, there's guitar underneath that. There's synth underneath that. And it's not even enough for me. Like, I hear too much drum in this outro. I want some piano, man. If you're gonna rip off Toto, just go full out. Just go all out, you know? This is Rosanna, but it's 6, and then it's 8 at the beginning. I'm thinking Rosanna because of the grace notes or the ghost notes on the snare. Like, very Rosanna-like. I love this stuff, man. Not really in this song, but in the rest of the songs, there's something I forgot to say about Anthony. He's a great singer. Like, say what you want about, like, pitchy or not. He has severe tinnitus, so he can't hear himself sometimes live, and it's a blunder. It's very bad. But, I mean, he can sing, especially because it's auto-tuned here, but he's just, forget about pitch. He has a great technique, alright? He has a great range. He has a great, lung capacity, so to speak, and a great control over his voice because he's trained with the best vocal teacher in the world, basically. Ron Anderson, one of the best, and the guy who works with all the stars and stuff like that. And so something he does that I think is pretty cool is he's really nosy. Like, he sends all of his voice to resonate here. And that's a true thing, by the way. It's like trained singers can kind of decide what part of their face they use to accentuate the voice. So you can kind of send it up here, or here, or here if you suck, or if you want to go for an effect and stuff. And he's always kind of over there, and it really shows, and I think it really facilitates him grabbing some high notes. And like, if you actually look up the kind of notes he sings, he's insane. The dude is cracked. I've seen him live scream like a B6 for like 10 seconds. Like, he's actually a great singer. He's actually really, really good. This is a true funk song. I love the fact that it's funk, and it's not afraid to be funk in the pre-chorus, but it sounds like Queen. Like, it just sounds like, with a different instrumentation, with a different arrangement. Again, if they brought in piano and stuff like that, they're not afraid to kind of go overboard with the theatrical aspect of it to paint the picture and stuff, and then they get mellow again in this warm blanket kind of thing. Oh, Bella's here in LA, whatever, in the chorus, and it's like, oh, it's cool, you know? You redo the triad stuff after all this innovation and stuff and dissonance, and you just kind of sink into being the Red Hot Chili Peppers once more. I want some more dirty stuff, man. I kind of want less mics on the drums. I kind of want more bleeding. Like, this album just sounds very clean. I don't know if they're using a click or what. I haven't had time to run some software on Unlimited Love to see if they actually use a click, but it sounds like very on point. Even though the tempo changes all the time, but that's like obviously on purpose, right? There's different sections to these songs. It's usually pretty slow songs. Mid-tempo album, I'd say, like, yeah, like a lot of people have been saying about Unlimited Love, but there's key changing, tempo changes all the time, but it's like sudden. It's like all of a sudden. It's not like Syrup Psycho Sexy in the outro where it goes like that, right? On purpose, it's really like and then that's weird. Oh wait, I forgot to say something. The little thing they did before the last chorus on Bella is so typical. It's like sort of a weird turnaround. You can do anything, like it's used on Somewhere Only We Know by Keen and stuff like that. You just kind of change up the chords a couple of times and then you just fall right back into the chorus. Absolutely perfect. No one bats an eye. Great. It's really a trick. Like, it's a trope. It's trickery on the songwriter's part. And it really works because the Red Hot Chili Peppers, they do that on Tippa My Tongue, but they don't do it very often to just like completely drop down quiet like that. Even in their 60s, they're still pretty energetic people.
Like Massachusetts thread.
Is it over? Oh, it's about to end. They could end it right now with that balls. Okay, that's really weird. That's really, really weird to fade it out on a rhythm like that. That's not a good choice I like. That's maybe not even a good choice. That's like the first time I ever heard RCHP ever do that. First of all, it's like the first time I hear Chad do an outro, and then he starts doing a different rhythm, and you cut him off like that. That gives me like slow dive, Sovleki vibes, and that's not in a good way. Oof. Okay, this is a great concept. I love the lyrics. I love the chorus lyrically. Like, it's just a great idea to write a song from this perspective. I really appreciate that. We have a kind of Picardy third major minor thing going on here. Clear Hendrix inspiration, kind of Hey Joe ripoff, but not really. It's just reminiscent of that. It's awesome to think about Hendrix because he did so little. Like, he changed the world of guitar, right? But he did stuff for like 4 years. The rest of the time he was like a session guy, touring the US and stuff like that. Like, nobody gave a shit who he was or what he was doing. And then he made stuff for 4 years, and we're still seeing the ripple effect of that. But he recorded not a lot of stuff, not a lot of finished stuff, because there's dozens of albums of jams and things that people played over after his death and stuff like that, and I just kind of discard that stuff. But the finished albums, it was not a lot of material, and now we have people like John Frusciante doing like 50 albums and still pushing the envelope when they're like 50. I love that. I love that idea, and I love the idea of the next guy doing even more than John did, because you wouldn't maybe like lose years to drugs and girls and stuff. I'm not sure. There's something reminiscing of Bastards of Light here. It's because like Anthony goes into the chorus with the same vowels, and John pulls out the acoustic at the exact same time. I'm almost bothered and definitely kind of surprised by the constant departures. So the keys are changing all the time, right? They're changing constantly. The keys, the tonality of the song. And that's never something they've done. Like, I've never done that. And it's all over Unlimited Love, sort of. And I thought it was really cool. I thought it was ambitious, but it's also taking out some of the substance of the songs, because the audience doesn't have the time to kind of fall into what is happening and really get invested into the story and recognize patterns, because I guess there are RCHP peppers at the end of the day, like, their audience is a pop rock based audience that expects normality to some degree, and we really can't have that when there's no home here, because they're changing all the time, right? So in one way I'm like, where's the substance? Where's like a really cool lick that's gonna make a simple chord progression sound awesome for Frusciante style? But also I'm like, I'm just a pop hater. I mean, it's like jazz does that all the time, and it's not a problem really. I think I'm gonna come to like it. But see, like, the thing is, when you don't do a lot of key changes, it's sensational. Like, Under the Bridge, Wet Sand, it hits you like a brick wall because it's masterfully done. And it's so simple, and it's the first time in the song that it happens, and it's in the outro, but here, like, it changes all the time. I know I've said that quite a bit. We have a weird thing going on because Frusciante brings in the really heavy fuzz, I guess it is fuzz, I don't know, with the acoustic. And that's kind of a first time thing too, if I'm trying to think about it. Even like Fortune Faded, it's more of a Gibson overdriven tone that he uses on top of the acoustic. It's not really super heavy, power chords low like that. And we have a synth signature. Here in the outro I can hear kind of the synth like straying off into the distance, if that's a thing. And it's often the same types of synths. I don't know if it's John. I struggle saying synths, man. I don't know if it's John playing it or somebody else, or like Corey Henry or something. I don't know why they got him to play these chords, man, but I'm all for it. And it's yeah, it's interesting. It's like another little Frusciante signature thing. We have a great bridge. Honestly, a great bridge. Pretty dramatic. I don't know why I got pictures of like Drive with Ryan Gosling in it when the bridge came out. Maybe because of a Night Call or something. Like just the minor aspect of the bridge. They don't often emphasize that stuff in the bridges, I feel like. There's no balls in some of the mixing in this. Because the leads, like, they just don't get boosted. And on Stadium Arcadium, for example, they just get boosted all the time. So like, what is it? I guess Strip My Mind. Like John said that Rick Rubin literally just put a notch up on the first note to just give it this cracking, thunderous feeling, and that's never here anymore. It's like there's a lead coming up on the left speaker at some point. It's just kind of almost whispery, and it's like, that's cool, that's texturing, there's a lot of stuff going on too, but, you know, I would love an alternate mix with balls. Oh, pretty much a first.
My cigarette. Don't speak Latin, island calling, must be static.
John Frusciante, signature synth.
My cigarette. My cigarette.
I feel like I've heard these lips before. I don't know who's playing sax here, but I might have heard them before. I recognize some stuff about the accents and stuff. It's awesome. One of the first times, right? One of the first times. Is there a sax solo on any other Red Hot Chili Peppers song? Is there a fake drum beat? A drum machine beat on any other Red Hot Chili Peppers song? Like, I know there's something at the beginning of a Zephyr song, but it doesn't even really sound like that. It sounds like drums. But here, it doesn't. It really doesn't. It's the first time. It's awesome. 10 years. 10 years. In 10 years, they might make, like, their best album. That's how I feel about this band. It's like, all of this really shows a lot of potential. It's like, they're such weirdos and such geniuses that, yeah, they might actually make their best shit when they're 70. Who knows? I love how John, like, started his music career by, you know, removing all the high end on his guitar and just plugging his Jags straight into Tascam gear and stuff, and he's doing it now too. It's something he's cherished on, like, you know, 4-track guitar albums and stuff like that in his past, and now he's bringing it to the Red Hot Chili Peppers. And I think maybe Rick Rubin said don't do that on Unlimited Love. He really didn't push the envelope as much on Unlimited Love, and this is all stuff they did at the same time, probably thinking they might have not crafted all these songs separately like that to be like, oh, this is one album and this is one album. They probably just did 50 and then they decided what goes where, which is supported by the idea that Anthony just did all the lyrics at once and stuff in the tracking, so it's very possible. Just, yeah, innovation. I love it. I really love it. John, again, taking a step back, even though he's layering some stuff like slick guitars and little synth jazz, but he's really dual now. He's really like guitar and synth, and probably had a hand in the beat making with Chad. Signature laugh.
Long after we have been gone from this song, well, the afterlife sings one for me. What if you put it right on top? Lost in the length of those warm ass horizons, the afterlife knows
would do a live jam, but it's not live, so they don't, and they just kind of slide down the strings like John Frusciante's done 50 times on albums. Great Flea in the outro. I don't talk about Flea a lot, so I'm gonna talk about him here. I like the little weird effect at the beginning. Ryan, I'll give you it. That one I like. Alright, just call me, mix my shit later, yeah. Creative parts by John. John is somebody who knows everything there is to know about music theory, and he's known everything since like he was like 15. He's like studied Steve Vai and Zappa and was like transcribing stuff, and was gonna apply to be in Zappa's band and would definitely have been taken in, but he just pulled out because he wanted to have a lot of sex and drugs instead, and it's a true story by the way, but he knows when to reach for it and when not to, alright? I said 23, 2003, he was just like playing pentatonic stuff, man. That's all he did, even though he knew everything. And now I don't know what's going on, because I know that John is less of a driving force for the band than he was 20 years ago. That's definitely true. However, it does seem like he's the one that's reaching for the songbook. An interesting thing happened when Josh joined the band. Flea started writing more stuff, and you could tell because I'm With You is full of chord progressions that kind of make no sense. And it's too weird and icky and major minor, and it's pretty clear that Flea came up with the chords. And when you're playing bass, you don't really have that big responsibility of deciding whether the chord is going to be major or minor, and that was Josh doing that. And he kind of fumbled it, in my opinion, a little bit. But so, maybe here what's going on, instead of John grabbing for these chords, is Flea is driving some of this, and then John decides which way to paint it, and just decides to paint it weird, and a little more masterfully than Josh. And to Josh's credit, like, you can't compete. You just can't with the time that John put in as a kid. So see, that's what I was talking about, right? Long drawn out notes and feedbacks. That's all John is doing at the end here, and it's pretty tasty, man. And I love the fact that it sounds fuller than just Chad and Flea, because Flea's actually playing double notes. He's playing harmony with this. He's not really slapping it all the time, but he's kind of like aggressively thumping and digging into the bass, and like he plays in thirds and stuff like that. And so it really it's much fuller, and it doesn't itch my ear like Eddie did a little bit. I think this is one of the songs that's gonna really tear it up live, because it's already having this like kind of full thing, right? And live Chad goes crazy and the people scream, and John is probably gonna play faster and stuff. So yeah, really pretty interesting song here, in contrast from what it could have been had Flea not been playing chords, I guess. Oh no. Also, John has a song on the Empyrean that he did in 2007 and put out in 2009 called Dark Light, and he hired a choir to sing that, and he sounds exactly like them. He choired himself here to basically sound like that. I think that might have been like a pretty much a direct inspiration.
Give
Okay, beautiful, beautiful song. We have a theme going on here where for the last couple of songs, the Anthony melodies were actually kind of good, like actually innovating, especially actually on the previous song. I forget the name honestly. Afterlife, it was like this descending stuff. It was the kind of melody I would sing, you know? It's like, I'm proud of you, Anthony, my boy, you're learning. Ooh, I have an ego, don't I? The getaway is being heard through this. I think Anthony is still not stuck here, but he's doing stuff that is similar to the stuff he was doing on the getaway, in my opinion, which is very funny because John has probably, you know, not listened to the album much and probably doesn't remember it much. So it's funny to see some members still kind of celebrating that idea. To me, the beginning of this song kind of sounds like the getaway, especially vocally. John sometimes kind of fumbles the little nuances of these arpeggios, and it's beautiful because it reminds me of like Snow, the second verse, or when he messes up in Turn It Again in Stadium Arcadium, and they still keep that stuff in. Like, the album is clean, but they know when to not take again, when not to track again, and some awesome textures again here. The synths are good, and they're different though. They're not exactly the same vein as synths that they're used on the other songs. Great John harmonies. I always like when John goes lower than Anthony. He has a voice that can get quite deep and beautiful in the deeps. Doesn't use it that much down there, but it's nice when he does that, and he also goes above. So it's like whenever Anthony gets dropped in the mix and like John has more space, I'm like, yes, give me some of that. That's awesome. Show love. They seem to talk a lot about showing love. Show me the love. They say that on Not the One, and they say that here. It's a very reminiscing song in the lyrics and stuff, but it's also a reminiscing chord progression. It's kind of the kind of the stuff of the dreamers, you know. This is stuff that makes you want to go outside and look at the stars at night and stuff, and kind of just have earphones on and, depending on your mood, cry or like just kind of reflect or appreciate your life. I guess my mic does have a habit of not working when it really should. That's gonna cost us quite a bit. Let's go into a handful.
The damage that I am, all the troubles that I be. Someone to roam up for the rest of your days. Out on the I wanna splash a little love on your face. You fill me right up or you put me in.
Yeah, very The Police-like at the beginning. You kind of can't tell what the time signature is going to be, and poof, you're boofed. It's in 6/8. Yeah, that's right. Just like Breaking the Girl and all that. I love 6/8. I love Red Hot Chili Peppers 6/8 so much. It's dirty in the lyrics. It's very human. It's very like Anthony coming to terms with his nature without hiding on this song. I like the brass again. Kind of makes me think of The Smile actually, because they have a song called Skirting on the Surface that is kind of like that in a 3 rhythm, and with brass like that, and so much trying, dude, so much innovation by John. They would never have done that with Josh. Chad would never play this way with Josh, because this departure here, like the kind of, again, he's kind of, it's not jazzy, but it's like to quote Anthony Kiedis, this kind of almost flamenco business that John does. It's what drives Chad to play the way that he does at the end there, and I'm all for it. Again, like it sounds like potential. It sounds like a band figuring itself out at 60.
Down to wallow in you, flowing like a
dude, I'm being gaslit by my Windows thing. It says that this is Handful, but this is definitely the drummer. Great synth, a great major minor sound, great key change there. Oh my god, they're pulling inspiration from everywhere. John is embodying his Litor Lefra album, and it's beautiful. It is beautiful. And the Beatles here in this is good driving beat by Flea and Chad there. And the Anthony Kiedis joint melody with the guitar leads. Oh my god, it's beautiful. And in Queen, like, I don't know, in the synth, in the very, though stripped back, kind of melodramatic nature of this album, I hear some Queen. And I... it's so funny because I have trouble keeping up now. Like, I'm tired and I've gone through all these songs, and it's just they keep doing it. They keep doing the key changes. They keep taking me far away from home, and this is a real departure from Unlimited Love. This is clearly more of a John led album. And again, it doesn't show up that much in the performance, but they just, like, that's John. That's almost John's solo stuff. It's the Red Hot Chili Peppers, but it's got such a signature to it. I'm not complaining.
In my day, I could hear them say Mr. K was awfully. I do not understand. 9 o'clock, I turn my heels inside. For one man's with his bag of grins and he's sewing up my lips. 'Cause you have saved your children now, dear. You are somewhere else, good luck.
Bro, this is so weird. You know, John wanted to make a grunge album, I think late 90s or early 2000s. I think he's getting that. I think he's kind of getting there with this. This is so weird because it's different from the Red Hot Chili Peppers soul. It's not really them anymore. It's really different from John's previous incarnation with them. Maybe their soul is just to change all the time, because if you think about it, Stadium Arcadium is pretty freaking different from Mother's Milk. But they don't... What I was thinking at the middle of the song is they don't have an audience for this. This sounds so surreal. This is the guys that are famous for Snow and Californication. Like, this is stuff with, like, huge dissonant grunge chords and then synth arpeggios. Like, who does that? Who's ever done that and who's been successful with that? And definitely not them. The people that know them, they don't know this style of music. They're maybe not that interested in it. So I'm like, this takes balls. This takes balls to do, to follow your vision like that. The song that made them explode again, their return song, is Black Summer. And this has nothing to do with Black Summer, dude. This is so different from Black Summer. It's not stuff that goes on the radio. I used to not like Stadium Arcadium. I used to think, oh, it's bad because it's full of those magic chords, right? It's full of, like, whatever 1 4 6. Like, I don't know. I still don't know music theory. 1 3 1 3 4 6, right? And no, 1 3 6 7. Yeah. And I don't mind it anymore. I don't get caught up on little stupid musical ideas like that. But the world is still caught up on the idea that's what the Red Hot Chili Peppers are, using very simple chord progressions, just dressing them up with ability, because Anthony Kiedis' poetry is beautiful, and Frusciante is Frusciante, and Flea is like the best bass player in the world, even though I don't talk about him that much. And Chad is an insane drummer. Just listen to Water by John Frusciante and you'll see what I'm talking about. Even on this album, like, he kind of plays. And so it's so weird to be that age and to actually really change, because this is actually a deep change. Like, a song like this, along with, like, By the Way live, and By the Way kind of works because there are weird sound effects and stuff, but along with, like, Under the Bridge, it's a different universe. It's a different world. And it's very surreal that they're actually doing that. So it's like, there's a bell curve, right? At the middle of the song, I was like, oh, this takes insane balls, because they're really going out of their way to do something different, but then they kind of tie it all back together with this huge Red Hot Chili Peppers style outro where it's just, oh, and that's them. That's their soul. That's the big chords. That's a drawn out John Frusciante backing vocals, long outro. They're so good at outros, and that's what people know and love. And so it's cool because they take you on that train of innovation, and then they kind of fall back into a more, not mellow, but just more familiar kind of vibe. Do you really want to go back in time?
I want to spend my life with you, mess around with things to do.
Cool melody.
We could start a family feud. Like figure is a perfect speech. You'll be Chong and I'll be Cheech. Give a lost career. Phone call from a financier. And no one lives like no one lives. Pull back the curtain.
Oh my god, man. First times, so many first times. This is probably the only and first Red Hot Chili Peppers song without guitar. Right? I mean, there's a cappella weird thing on one of the early albums, but tell me if I'm wrong. I think this is the first song without guitar. And boy, is it beautiful. It's beautiful right off the bat because Anthony is not a trained musician, so he kind of goes and grabs notes that I would never think about. I would never think about putting this much weirdness and dissonance with that minor second into a song that has such wide like ninth and second chords and stuff like that. It's such a clash. There's the major second in the chord, and then Anthony sings the minor second. I mean, Anthony likes minors, what can I say? But it hits. His lyrics are so good on this. This is a really cool choice to strip it back like that so you can focus on the lyrics, and that's what always has worked for the Red Hot Chili Peppers. The reason people love Under the Bridge so much is probably that the beginning is already setting the tone for something chill. It's just guitar, right? One track or two, who knows, but it's just guitar, and then it's guitar and voice, and it's the same thing here. It's all these naps, French term, naps of synthesizers, these layers, and the piano, and then it's just Anthony, and he's just speaking almost. He sings like he's speaking. Just beautiful, beautiful song. I love the saxophone on it. I would like to know if John says that they were inspired by Queen on this record, because I do hear a bit of I'm Going Slightly Mad on the vocal inflections and stuff, and all the synth stuff really reminds me of Queen. Maybe I'm just a Queen fanboy.
Anyone can see it clearly. You're made for this kingdom. Someone's in love with emotional pain. Keys to time. Someone's in love with emotional pain. Just like you. Take me by my warm hand and I'll be.
Boy, I swear to God, this vocal effect is straight from PBX Intaglio Zone by John Frusciante. Again, a weird time signature. It's in 3 or 6. I don't even know, but they play it so weird that it's not obvious that it's that, which I found really cool. Because six you can play like that, like. That's a really common pattern for drums in 6/8, or you can do it on the head like. But this is much more interesting. This is really, really cool to hear. John freaks out. John does freakouts just like on the Heavy Wing and stuff like that, or maybe the Great Apes, where he's playing chords and suddenly he just goes to the highest possible fret he can go to, and he just kind of tremolo picks like that, which I find really interesting. It sounds like a very frustrated way of playing. And you know what sounds frustrated also? Kurt Cobain. Kurt Cobain is here. He's on the track. I don't know how they collabed, but you know they brought him back because this is literally a Kurt Cobain solo, and John really likes Kurt Cobain and admires him a lot. And I personally think Kurt Cobain is one of the, you know, one of the greats. I mean, I know he's super romanticized and stuff like that, but honestly, he's not a good songwriter. He's not a good singer alone, right? He's also a great musician. He's a great guitar player. To me, the solo of like School or something like that is perfect. It's absolutely perfect, and nobody could play it better. Like you put Steve Vai on School, he can't do that. Like it's not that he can't play Kurt's part, but he can't write a part that's better than that because it's absolutely perfect. And what John does here is sounds so frustrated and beautiful, and just super honest. And sometimes it's just so fun to just bash your guitar, just do kind of random stuff. But he knows exactly what he's doing. He's trying to sound like that. Hendrix Blues.
We'll both arrive at the very same time, please. They was right, she's in the place to pay for me, and now she got to
Oh, they're going back to their roots. That's what they said. That's what John said they were doing when he joined Red Hot Chili Peppers back. Just doing blues stuff and really simple stuff and going to the simplest things they could do together. But they refuse, though. They refuse to actually be simple. He refuses to play pentatonics, it seems. It's like he's really trying to not. It's like the end of the song is like a Muse riff, and he just said, nah, Muse sucks. I can do better than that. I can do more interesting. I can add more weird notes, and they kind of just built on the skeleton of something that could be a simple, straight pentatonic riff, but he just can't help bringing in those weird tension-filled notes there. I mean, man, it's just like, it's such a treat. I think this is in 3, I guess, 3/4 or something like that. It's kind of a waltz. Straight away, it's Hendrix, man. It's Hendrix lives on. Hendrix died in 70. John was born in 70, and that's how it goes. I think they overlapped a little bit. Maybe not much. I mean, this one kind of speaks for itself, you know. The solo speaks for itself, and everything kind of does. I don't like Anthony's weirdly distorted autotune on this. Like, they're really... See, that's what bothers me a bit sometimes about autotune, is like, I understand that a lot of people use it because it's cool, it sounds good, but here it's clearly not what's happening. Like, the software is definitely at a spot where you can do stuff that's almost seamless, and here, like, unless you don't know what autotune sounds like, it's impossible not to spot it. It's fluttery. It's like on max settings. It's almost laughable, because it's like there's no way, right? There's no way this is on such a big album and stuff. This sounds like Cher in 96 or something. But again, I don't care that much. But it's just the contrast between the kind of old nature of this way of playing in the blues and the dirty analog dust and rust and sweat coming from Frusciante's fingers, and the rhythm section that's sounding so old, and yet it's too crisp, it's too compressed. You can tell it's a 2022 recording, but it's really the autotune that kind of sells the fact that this is very modern music. And it's it could pass for a Hendrix song, but the autotune just, it's so out of place. Last one. I'm not doing bonus songs. I'm tired.
Do you wanna come and I'll take my time? High-waisted, she tasted like a salacious confrontation salvation from the salivating The cock-bottom tempo varies like autumn, light sought for the cost. The Fibonacci
Same exact beat as they use on the other song. I don't know which one it is. Same exact drum machine. It's very interesting. I don't know why they would choose the exact same one. I literally thought I was listening to the same song again. This is not a super strong closer. I like when albums really have a closer that's strong, and I guess for the Red Hot Chili Peppers, sometimes they have weird choices. Like, to me, it's a weird choice to have like Death of a Martian be the last song on Stadium Arcadium when like Turn It Again that's right after is the perfect closer. But I mean, I like it. I like all the little pop culture references that Anthony Kiedis keeps spewing out, like Clockwork Orange. I don't know if he said Kendrick, like maybe he said that, I don't know. And the seashells by the seashore, is that even legal? But he does some talking, which he often does. Exactly what he does on Death of a Martian and stuff. He likes to talk on the last songs of albums. I know he does that on I'm Besides You, maybe not the last song. I like the sweet little reverb on John's riff. Kind of makes it sound like a Joy Division song or something like that, or Depeche Mode. It's like this 80s kind of vibe, and it's almost like video game music. I could listen to this forever. Like, this song could be 20 minutes long. It would actually work, because it's just like super simple, but it's that good. It's really good. It's relentless, this riff. Wow. I think we got through that. There was an experience that is strange. It is strange that I'm making these videos to make money because I don't want to have a normal job because my wrists hurt, but that's where we are. That's how it is. That's who we are, and we gotta sit in that moment, appreciate it. Overall, my thoughts on the album. What do I think? Well, I think it feels disjointed to me because I'm not used to this sound. It feels disjointed to me because I'm still judging the Red Hot Chili Peppers from the perspective I had as a kid listening to their other stuff. I'm so familiar with everything they've done. Like, I've had a lot of time to take all of it in, and then they're just dropping like 2 big albums on me in a single year, and I'm like, what the hell is that? I don't think it's a masterpiece, but I don't think it's really disjointed either. I think it's more coherent than it seems to be, and I think they actually know where they're going now. I think the next album might actually be really good, and I like what they're doing. They're not phoning it in. They're really not. They're really trying their best, you know. Like, these guys are rock people, Flea and Chad. Like, yeah, sure, they have ventured off, and Flea has done an EP and stuff like that, but at their heart, even though Flea comes from jazz and all that stuff, all they've done all their life is be a Red Hot Chili Pepper and kind of rock, and John has really not. He's been experimenting with electronic music since probably before 2000, and he's gone very deep into it for like 15 years, over 15 years now. He's been really deep into that stuff, and so it's a completely different experience for them to work together in that way. And the fact that they're able to actually make anything work at all, let alone put out like over 30 songs in a year, is pretty remarkable. And I'll keep listening close because they're one of my favorite bands ever. And I was, despite everything, I was very glad to spend this moment here tonight, alone, but with you. Through the internet, incredible creation. I check my stupid phone at 4 a.m. It doesn't matter, it still burns my eyes. And goodbye.